Shh,
The
don't make
night had
noise.
stretched endlessly, and Kingsley Adebanjo, one of the most influential billionaires in the city, felt every second of it pressing down on his temples like an unwelcome weight. He had spent the evening at a glittering charity gala where speeches droned on about generosity and legacies, and men flaunted their fortunes through imported cufflinks, luxury timepieces, and oversized donations. Kingsley had done his part, smiled, signed a check with too many zeros, shaken hands with people he could barely stand, and slipped away just before midnight. By the time his chauffeur eased the limousine in front of his towering penthouse, the only thing he craved was silence, a drink, and maybe an hour of rest before collapsing into a bed he had not touched in nearly a week. The city outside buzzed with life, vendors packing up roasted corn, neon signs flickering, and faint nightclub music weaving through the air. But inside his glass-walled penthouse, Kingsley expected the familiar hush, the kind of silence money could buy. Yet the moment he closed the door, something shocking happened. A hand clamped over his mouth. His entire body stiffened, his pulse spiked. He was ready to fight until a trembling, hushed voice whispered in his ear, "Don't make a sound." It was a woman's voice. He spun sharply the moment her hand loosened. His eyes locked onto the last person he expected, Amaka the maid. Amaka had only been in his home for 2 weeks, a quiet presence in a crisp black uniform and apron, so discreet that Kingsley rarely noticed her. But tonight her face was pale, her eyes wide with urgency, and there was no mistaking the fear that laced her trembling voice. "What are you doing here at this hour?" Kingsley demanded in a low growl, his exhaustion fueling his anger. But Amaka pressed her finger to her lips and whispered, "Please don't raise your voice. Your son is sleepwalking." The words hit him like a blow to the chest. Kingsley froze, his tie half loosened, his mind scrambling to catch up. "What did you just say?" he hissed. Amaka's gaze darted down the hallway. "It happens every night, sir, about this time. I've been staying behind to guide him. Tonight he nearly reached the stairs." Kingsley's throat tightened. His son, just 7 years old, wandering the halls in the dead of night, and he hadn't even known. He had been so absent, buried in meetings, flights, and boardroom battles, that the boy's silent cries for attention had gone completely unnoticed. Only Amaka had seen. Only she had cared enough to act. Kingsley felt his defenses crumble as the weight of her words pressed on him. For the first time in years, his wealth, his power, and his empire meant nothing in the face of what he had nearly lost without even realizing it. Kingsley's voice faltered as he looked at Amaka, truly seeing her for the first time. She was young, mid-20s at most, but her eyes carried the gravity of someone who had lived through storms long before stepping into his penthouse. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he asked, almost pleading. Her hands twisted nervously in front of her apron as she whispered, "I didn't think it mattered to you." Those words pierced deeper than any insult he had endured in corporate wars. "I care about my son," he muttered. Amaka's reply was soft, but it struck him harder than steel. "Children don't feel what you believe, they feel your presence." Kingsley's breath caught. Tonight she had saved Junior from tumbling down the stairs. If she hadn't been there, he shuddered at the thought. For the first time in years, he felt something stir inside him, not guilt alone, but a raw ache for the time he had lost, for the moments he had traded for deals and profits. He turned to her with gratitude he didn't know how to voice. "You covered my mouth because you were protecting him," he said quietly. "I should thank you." Amaka shook her head. "I didn't do it for thanks." Kingsley realized then that this young woman, who earned less in a month than he spent on a single dinner, had given his son the one thing money couldn't buy: safety, attention, and care. Before Kingsley could say more, the soft sound of footsteps echoed down the corridor. Both he and Amaka froze. A small figure appeared barefoot, eyes half closed, moving as though caught between dream and reality. "Daddy," the boy whispered weakly. Kingsley's heart lurched as he rushed forward. "Junior," Amaka's quick warning cut through the moment. "Don't startle him, walk slowly." Kingsley obeyed, crouching low, arms open. The boy stumbled into his embrace, and Kingsley clutched him tightly, feeling how light, how small, how fragile his son truly was. "I was looking for you," Junior murmured into his chest. Kingsley's throat burned as he whispered back, "I'm here now." And for the first time in years, he meant every word. The boy clung to him as if terrified he might vanish again. Amaka stood a few steps away, watching quietly, her face soft but cautious. Kingsley pressed his cheek against his son's hair, inhaling the faint scent of cocoa butter and soap. A reminder of innocence, of childhood, of everything he had been too blind to see. In that moment, it wasn't his wealth, his empire, or his success that defined him. It was the tiny arms wrapped desperately around his neck. It was the fragile, urgent truth that he had almost lost the one person who mattered most. Kingsley carried Junior gently back to his bed, tucking him under soft blue covers and brushing his fingers through the boy's hair until his breathing steadied. When he returned to the kitchen, Amaka was waiting with 2 steaming mugs, the faint scent of ginger rising from one. "You need something warm," she said simply. Kingsley leaned against the counter, feeling both exhausted and strangely awake. "I'd like you to stay," he said after a pause, "not just as a maid. I need someone in this house who sees him the way you do." Amaka's gaze lifted briefly, her voice calm but firm. "You don't need to hire love, sir, you just need to be present." Kingsley swallowed hard, nodding slowly. "Then teach me," he whispered. For the first time in years, those words weren't part of a negotiation or a contract. They were a promise. The next morning, Kingsley sat at the dining table in his house clothes, watching his son eat pancakes with banana and cinnamon. He hadn't eaten breakfast with him in months. "From now on," he told Junior firmly, "we'll eat breakfast together every morning." The boy's eyes widened with disbelief. "Even when you have work?" "Even then," Kingsley replied, and when Junior grinned, Kingsley felt something he hadn't felt in years. A warmth deeper than any business triumph, a victory that couldn't be measured in numbers. From that day forward, Kingsley began making small but deliberate changes. He canceled meetings, shocking his assistants, and began working from home at the same table where his son did his homework. The penthouse, once cold and sterile, started to echo with laughter, with crumbs left on the dining table, with the soft chaos of family life. At night, he tucked Junior in with clumsy bedtime stories. In the mornings, he fumbled shoelaces, earning giggles from his son that felt more precious than applause in any boardroom. Through it all, Amaka remained steady, guiding him subtly. She reminded him when Junior had drawings to show, homework to check, or small victories to celebrate. She moved like someone who had lived invisible for too long. But in this home, her quiet guidance reshaped everything. Slowly, Kingsley realized the truth. Money had bought him walls of glass and steel, but presence, laughter, and connection had built him a home. Each night, when he closed his laptop to join his son, he began to understand what Amaka had been teaching him all along. That children don't remember wealth, they remember love. 2 weeks later, the transformation was undeniable. The penthouse no longer resembled a showroom of expensive furniture, but a place where life happened. The walls carried the sound of Junior's laughter, the dining table bore juice stains and pancake crumbs, and Kingsley, once a stranger in his own home, was finally a father. One evening, after putting Junior to bed, Kingsley found Amaka by the door, her coat draped over her arm. "Leaving already?" he asked. She nodded. "He's asleep. My work is done." Kingsley hesitated, then said softly, "Amaka, thank you for saving him that night, for teaching me what it means to be present." She shook her head. "You saved him yourself. I only kept watch until you came." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "No, you gave me back my son." The words hung heavy in the air. Amaka's gaze dropped, her voice soft as she replied, "He doesn't need a hero. He just needs his father." Kingsley felt those words etch themselves into his heart, unshakable, permanent. That night, as Kingsley tucked Junior under his blanket, the boy stirred and whispered, "Daddy, you won't leave again, right?" Kingsley kissed his forehead and whispered back, "From now on, when you wake, I'll be here. That's a promise." The boy's tiny arms wrapped around his neck, and for the first time in a very long time, Kingsley felt whole, not as a billionaire, not as a businessman, but as a father. The wealth he had been chasing suddenly seemed meaningless compared to the treasure he held in his arms. And in the quiet of that moment, Kingsley understood the truth. The greatest riches in life are not found in bank accounts, but in the love and trust of those who need you most. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories, and share this with someone who needs a reminder that presence is more powerful than wealth. Tell us in the comments where you're listening from. We treasure every message from you. Until next time, stay kind, stay hopeful, and always remember, real wealth is found in love.